Life. It seems like from the time we are born, there's only one course. Grow up, grow old, and die. Olam HaMiddot, a guide to understanding and refining our character. Hi everyone, Devorah Esther here. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of Olam HaMiddot. This is the book where we really get in touch with our inner character traits, the ones that we probably would not like to address so much. Working on yourself is very hard, and for those of you who have decided to take on this journey, I applaud you. And I pray that it would be a blessing to you, not only in this world, but in the world to come. We all could use a little fixing. That's my motto anyway. But if you're new to this channel, I would humbly ask that you would please like, subscribe, and hit the notification button so that you can be alerted whenever any new shirim are posted. And today we're going to be talking about the difference between midot and manners. First of all, I personally think, I don't know if any of you, I think some of you who've read my book or whatever, I had to go through all those like etiquette training. Manners I wish would be taught, right? I think it should be taught to every single boy and girl who is born in this world. You should learn manner, or like we say in Hebrew, derek eretz. But character traits and manners, there is a difference to it. And today we're going to be talking about something which I know for me is very difficult, especially as somebody is like a spicy Latina. Sometimes, I have worked on my character traits, especially in the area of anger, but let's not fool anyone. There is a line. And no matter how much you work on that character trait, there's a line. And if you cross it, it's like all bets are off. So chas v'shalom that should ever happen. We should continue to work on that. But today, we're going to be talking about something that I know, at least for me, is sometimes a little difficult. So we're going to start out. It says, each day at the end of Shemona Esrei, we daven, to those who curse me, let my soul be silent. In other words, we're asking that not only should we not speak against those who curse us, but that even inside our hearts, we should have no reaction whatsoever. That is a tall order, if you ask me. So it says, in this vein, the Torah testifies, Aharon was silent. This is brought down in Vayikra 10:3, meaning that not only did Aharon not complain against Hashem when his two sons died, but he accepted the heavenly judgment so completely that even within his heart, he did not react to the slightest. So I got to tell you, this is why Aharon is the benchmark, right? We always say, be a student of Aharon, learning to chase peace and pursue it. This is why I couldn't imagine, I can imagine, and I hope, I just know I'm not there, dreaming of the day that chas v'shalom, that any kind of gezerah comes down from Shammai, that I would accept it wholeheartedly. I can tell you I'm not there. I'm working on it though, guys. I hope you are too. It says, earlier as well, the Torah attests to the purity of Aaron's emotions, as the Pasuk states, behold, he is going out to meet you, and when he sees you, he will rejoice in his heart. And this is brought down in Shemos 4:14, indicating that he bore no trace of envy in his heart towards Moshe, his younger brother, who had been appointed the leader of the Jewish people. The description of Aaron's character sheds light on a well-known teaching of Hazal in Parkei Avot, which says, be among the disciples of Aaron, loving peace, and pursuing peace, loving people, and bringing them closer to Torah. Is it not enough to pursue peace actively? One must love peace in the depths of his heart. Similarly, it is not enough to bring people closer to the Torah. One must also love the people. That love spurs him to want to help them and draw them closer to the gift of Torah. This is the purpose of our existence, to rectify our innermost emotions. Now, like I said, this is why Aaron is the benchmark to strive for and to aspire to. Here you have Moshe, his younger brother. Aaron's been in the thick of it with his family and with all Klal Yisrael, really. And here comes his brother, seemingly to save the day. And Aaron did not look at it this way. In fact, he helps him. He really, to such miserot nefesh, to go out and help him, to help bring the Geulah to all Klal Yisrael. Really, Aaron is something very special, and I don't think that we speak about him. We don't study his ways enough, and I pray that it changes. At least for my life, I really would love to be a student of Aaron, just as they give us the advice in Parkei Avot. And it says, accordingly, we can differentiate between good manners and good midot. Although a person can bring about Kiddush Hashem through proper etiquette, or the opposite, Has v'Shalom, manners nevertheless remain purely superficial acts. And this is true, right? Like in all my etiquette classes, though I say it's good, everybody should do it, right? Like you should learn how to eat like a mensch, how to sit like a proper lady, how not to complain to your host. These are all things of Derek Eretz, but they're not your midot. In other words, they are very superficial. You can hide, like it's easy to hide all these things for a few minutes. But what is that inner character about? And it says, opposed to good midot, which must be ingrained in a person's heart and soul. Even the most evil people can have good manners, as was obvious with the Nazis, Yimak Shemam. And in fact, it's possible to find a Rasha whose etiquette is superior to that of a tzaddik. And this is true, right? Like there's very famous stories of the Nazis playing Bach. And as they were, they were sitting with their fine cutlery and eating and drinking their fine wine while they were doing the most atrocious things to the Jewish nation and to many other people as well, not just to the Jewish nation. But so this is a perfect example of what the Rav is talking about. It says we can explain this with an analogy. The strength of building is directly proportional to the strength of its foundation and supporting walls. The building would certainly be enhanced by a beautiful facade and elegant interior decor, but no matter how breathtaking it is externally, if its foundations are weak and its supports are faulty, the entire building is worthless. Similarly, good midot are the foundation and most important aspect of a person's character. Good manners are necessary enhancement, but they are purely external and do not necessarily reflect one person's true inner character. And I think in modern times, you probably look to the Titanic, right? It had nice decor, but when it came down to it, the structure, everything buckled. There weren't enough lifeboats. The foundations were not in place as they should have been. So this is kind of likened to what they're talking about. And so there is a story, and it's called Niktwar, and it says, and actually it really goes to really enhance this idea. And it says Rav Avraham Elia Kaplan, one of the leading disciples of the altar of Slobodka, spent some time in Germany, and when he subsequently returned to Slobodka, the altar questioned him on how the German people conducted themselves and responded that they possessed excellent midot, citing as an example the German practice of appending the words niktwar. Is it not so? And that's what niktwar means. Is it not so? To their statement, for instance, if someone would ask for directions, the German would not only simply reply, make a right or make a left, but he would conclude with the response differentially by questioning niktwar. The students of the Slobodka Yeshiva began to debate whether the practice was laudable. Some of them, including Rav Yitzhak Hutner, argued that Jews should not learn midots from the conduct of non-Jews, but from the Torah. A certain Bechor, however, argued that since the Chazal teach in Avot 4:1, who is wise, he who learns from every person, it behooves us to learn from the conduct of the Germans as well. Around 50 years later, after this discussion, Rav Hutner was delivering his shiur when an elderly person entered the room. He sat on the side and waited until the end of the shiur, at which point he approached the Rav Hutner and asked him, "Do you remember me? I was the Bechor who argued that we should learn from the behavior of the Germans." And Rav Hutner extended his hands to him in greeting, but then realized that his visitor was missing an arm. And he says, "I lost my arm in the concentration camp when the Nazis chopped it off. It hurts you, niktwar. Is it very painful, niktwar? Rav Yitzhak, you were right and I was wrong." Just because a person displays impeccable manners and follows accepted etiquette with precision, that does not prove that he is a true Baal Midot. The best litmus test of a person's midot is the way he treats his wife. And now we've already discussed that in a previous lesson. And I'm going to pause for a second because I hope that you are taking every single word of this story in, because this is where we find ourselves. We find ourselves with plenty of Jews. There's no shortage of Jews who are constantly constantly behind the goyim, thinking that they are just so well behaved, they're so well mannered. Certainly they're not animals. And this is a classic case of what the Torah has been telling us and what the sages have been telling us for years. Do not be fooled by the fact that somebody can eat at the table properly, dresses well, speaks well, smells well, looks okay. Don't be fooled by these things. Okay? Wake up. So I'm going to continue on. So other significant indicators are the way he treats his other family members, how he reacts when someone wrongs or offends him, how he speaks about others, and the way he conducts his financial dealings. Conversely, when we see a person whose manners are not perfect, we should not immediately dismiss him as someone who is not a Bal Midot. Although a person should certainly strive to perfect his manners, we cannot judge a person simply by his external etiquette, since that does not necessarily reflect the inner character, although he needs to brush up on his social etiquette, right? You shouldn't be going around, Chas v'shalom, leaving, going to your host's house, complaining, eating like you're, like a savage wolf. Let's conduct ourselves properly as well. But again, this is not the litmus test to find out if somebody has a good character. They are not the same thing. So nevertheless, since we have not witnessed how he interacts with his family members or how he responds when he's upset and how he handles business affairs, we cannot assess him accurately. He might still possess many special character traits that are worthy of recognition. This is a very big lesson to learn. And so I'm going to cut this right here. This is not the end of the chapter, but I don't want to lose what we just learned here. Because what we just learned here really is something, and you don't even have to be Jewish. I mean, let's be honest. Like any person in the world, we need to stop, judging people based on the outside, And it's funny because we've grown up with this statement, don't judge a book by its cover, right? Maybe we should start learning to read the pages. But I think that we are in a society where we're too afraid to say anything. We're too afraid to offend anyone. And so we just go along saying someone else will check them, right? And no, if Hashem's bringing it in front of you, it's because he's looking for you to check it, right? You need to investigate what you're seeing in front of you. And you need to really stop putting all your trust into people who say all the right things and on the outside they look like they're doing all the right things. You need to go further than that. There is this great saying, and it says, the way you treat people says a lot about who you are. Be careful, your actions are screaming over your words. And this is what you really need to start paying attention to. How is a person's behavior? How is their midot, right? So I want to pause here in the middle of this great chapter, which, I feel like I'm saying it to you. It's really for me. I also need to remind myself that there are a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing, and we can't be fooled by that anymore. Like, we've done this too many times. So I want us to kind of absorb the words of the Rav. So we're going to end here, and that's it for today, and I hope we'll all be together again soon. B'ezrat Hashem.
If you've enjoyed this video or know someone who would, please share it. Sikul mitzvot. If you'd like to be notified of upcoming episodes, click subscribe to be notified.